Hello everyone. This is the second video of the chapter Through the Eyes of Travelers, chapter 5 History. In this video, we will be discussing three topics. One is Francois Bernier, a doctor with a difference. The next topic is Making Sense of an Alien World, Al-Biruni and the Sanskritic Tradition. And the third topic will be Ibn Battuta and the Excitement of the Unfamiliar. So let us start. Francois Bernier, a doctor with a difference. Once the Portuguese arrived in India in about 1500, a number of them wrote detailed accounts regarding Indian social customs and religious practices. A few of them even translated Indian texts into European languages. After 1600, we find growing numbers of Dutch, English, and French travelers coming to India. Some of these travelers, like the Italian Dr. Manucci, never returned to Europe and settled down in India. Francois Bernier, a Frenchman who was a doctor, politician, philosopher, and historian, like many others, he came to the Mughal Empire in search of opportunities. He was in India for 12 years from 1656 to 1668 and was closely associated with the Mughal court as a physician to Prince Dara Shikoh, later as an intellectual and scientist with Danishmand Khan, an American noble at the Mughal court. Barnier traveled to several parts of the country and wrote accounts of what he saw, frequently comparing what he saw in India with the situation in Europe. In virtually every instance, Bernier described what he saw in India as a bleak situation in comparison to development in Europe. When his were published, Bernier's writings became extremely popular. Bernier's work were translated into English, Dutch, and Italian and German also, and reprinted several times. Our next topic is Making Sense of an Alien World, Al-Biruni and the Sanskritic Tradition. As we have seen, travelers often compared what they saw in the subcontinent with practices with which they were familiar. Each traveler adopted distinct strategies to understand what they observed. Al-Baruni, for instance, discussed several barriers that he felt obstructed understanding. The first amongst these was language. According to him, Sanskrit was so different from Arabic and Persian that ideas and concepts could not be easily translated from one language to another. The second barrier he identified was the difference in religious beliefs and practices. The self absorption and consequent insularity of the local population, according to him, constituted the third barrier. Though he was aware of these problems, Al Baruni depended almost exclusively on the work of Brahmins to provide an understanding of Indian society. Al Baruni's description of the caste system. Al-Baruni tried to explain the caste system by looking for parallel in other societies. He noted that in ancient Persia, four social categories were recorded: those of knights and princes, monks, fire priests and lawyers, physicians, astronomers and other scientists, and finally peasants and artisans. He attempted to suggest that social divisions were not unique to India At the same time, he pointed out that within Islam, all men were considered equal, differing only in their observance of pity. In spite of his acceptance of the Brahminical description of the caste system, Al Biruni disapproved of the notion of pollution. The conception of social pollution intrinsic to the caste system was, according to him, contrary to the laws of nature. Al Baruni's description of the caste system was deeply influenced by his study of normative Sanskrit texts. However, in real life, the system was not quite as rigid. In other words, while they were often subjected to social oppression, they were included within economic networks. Networks. Our next topic is Ibn Battuta and the excitement of the unfamiliar. By the time Ibn Battuta arrived in Delhi in the 14th century, the subcontinent was part of a global network of communication that stretched from China and in the east to northwest Africa and Europe in the west. Ibn Battuta himself traveled extensively through these lands, visiting sacred shrines, often officiating as Qazi, and enjoying the cosmopolitan culture of urban centers where people spoke Arabic, Persian, Turkish, and other languages, shared ideas, informations, and anecdotes. These included stories about men, kings, and about the lives of ordinary men and women. Anything that was unfamiliar was particularly highlighted in order to ensure that the listener or the reader was suitably impressed by accounts of distant yet accessible worlds. The coconut and the pan. Some of the best examples of Ibn Battuta's strategies of representation are evident in the ways in which he described the coconut and the palm, two kinds of plant produce that were completely unfamiliar to his audience. Ibn Battuta and Indian cities. Ibn Battuta found cities in the subcontinent full of exciting opportunities. They were densely populated and prosperous, except for the occasional disruptions caused by the war and invasions. Most cities had crowded streets and bright and colorful markets that were stacked with a wide variety of goods. Ibn Battuta described Delhi as a vast city with a great population, the largest in India. Daulatabad easily rivaled Delhi in size. The bazaars were not only places of economic transactions but also the hub of social and cultural activities. Most bazaars had a mosque and a temple. Spaces were marked for public performances by dancers, musicians, and singers. Historians have used his account to suggest that towns derived a significant portion of their wealth through the appropriation of surplus from villages. Ibn Battuta found Indian agriculture very productive because of the fertility of the soil. He also noted that the subcontinent was well integrated with an inter-Asian network of trade and commerce. Indian textiles, particularly cotton cloth, fine muslins, silks, brocade, and satin, were in great demand. A unique system of communication. The state evidently took special measures to encourage merchants. Almost all trade routes were well supplied with inns and guest houses. Ibn Battuta was also amazed by the efficiency of the postal system, which allowed merchants to not only send information and remit credit across long distance, but also to dispatch goods required at short notice. The postal system was so efficient that while it took 50 days to reach Delhi from Sindh, the news reports of spies would reach the Sultan through the postal system in just 5 days. For today, this much. Thank you.